Hey, everybody. Welcome once again to the Football Fandemic. We are joined by Cameron Glick today because we are talking about some end-of-the-year predictions. We've given you our regular season. Now we're going to talk about what happens postseason. We're going to hit some news. We're going to talk about our teams in training camp and a whole lot more. Glad you joined us here today on the Football Fandemic. All right. Well, right away, let's welcome our guest today. Cameron Glick is a Bears fan, and he was just telling us a little bit about himself. So, Cameron, why don't you real quick tell the world a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I've been a Bears fan. Grew up a baseball fan all my life. Being a Bears fan, like we talked about pre-show, you only watch, midway in the season, hoping they get, 8 wins. But I just kind of give up towards the end of the season. But hopefully this year I stick to it and enjoy the whole season with you guys and with Josh at his house. So
it should be good. And
yeah,
I'll say this, even when they lose, then you can start looking for draft position, right?
yeah.
And so that's one thing that you as a Bears fan have always had. Like you get that early part where you're thinking, hey, we could win. Then you get that later part where maybe we could win the draft. And you guys did this last year.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because Lovie Smith gifted you guys the number 1 overall pick when he said, you know what, we're 4th and 20-something, and at the very end of the game, let's just chuck it to the end zone and give this one to the Bears because Houston, they don't need it. And so the Bears had it, traded it, got a lot of picks, and at the same time, you picked up a good wide receiver, and that's going to play into our discussion as we get a little further today talking about the Bears, I'm sure. Let's start, though, with a little bit of breaking news from around the NFL, some stuff that's going on that we can discuss. First of all, Peyton Manning, if you haven't heard, is now going to be Professor Manning, going to be working as, what was it they called it? The Professor of Practice, I think is what they called it. In our script here we have in the communication department, but I think he's actually going to be called Professor of Practice, whatever practice means, and I don't know. But as a student, it seems like that would be a fun class to go take, if for no other reason than say, I met Peyton Manning. I had class and he gave me an F. So I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't do that to a lot of students. But Peyton Manning going back to work at Tennessee. He's done like a ton of stuff with Denver. He's done a ton of stuff here now with Tennessee. When's he going to get back to the Colts and do something? Come on, Peyton Manning.
I think he needs to move back first. Does he still have his house in Carmel?
I don't know. He and I talk a lot, but it just never comes up.
Just never, yeah.
That house in Carmel. What else? Michael Orr, if you remember the movie Blind Side. By the way, how many of you guys watched that when you were you guys were probably really
9.
young when you watched that. How old were you when you watched Blind Side?
I was in middle school. Most
9. We were all in middle school, I believe.
I was out of college already.
Yeah.
Freshly out of college.
What year was it?
09.
It wouldn't have been freshly out. I finished my master's degree in 96, taught at Purdue for 8 years. I ended up doing other job stuff.
Wow.
In 2009, I was well out of college, but I do remember watching that movie and thinking, man, that's a good movie. And then thinking, oh my goodness, looks like either it's nothing like they portrayed it or something else is going on. What do you think?
Right. I kind of think looking back on it, some people can kind of paint a picture whether it was too good to be true kind of story. But like Josh had stated the other day, him and I were talking, and I think he released a book about 3 years ago.
No, he released it the day of he came up with so basically the same day he announced the lawsuit or filed for it or the suing or whatever, he released his book. And I think we were, like you said, we were talking. I think it recently. Like the same day, like
a week ago. Okay. All right.
A week ago. And has said back in 2015 he hated the movie, right?
Yeah, because it didn't portray anything, like closely really. But no movie's going to be like that. I mean, even Kurt Warner's movie, Kurt Warner has come out and said, it's not all real. It's just based off a true story. And then, they stretch the truth per se. But even Rudy, which is another great sports movie, has, Joe Montana, of course, he's come out and said,
but I hear Draft Day with Kevin Costner was exactly right. That they all trades happen that easily.
Not at all.
For
but
GMs.
That's another good movie. But me and Kim were talking, and we both believe that it's just the timing is so weird. Like, why would he do it now instead of when he was drafted, when he started making the money, when the movie was popularized in 2009, 2010, and B, he's just recently filed for bankruptcy, so everything's lining up right now. You know what I mean? But then, what's his name? SJ. I'm just gonna call him SJ. I can't remember his first name, but the boy, the kid. Was on Barstool recently, and he did an interview on a podcast, and he was just talking about it, and he made it seem like it was real, but I'm not fully believing it's a real. Like, I think it's just doing this, because he needs to make money. He just filed bankruptcy, whatever. But if it's real, then he deserves all the money he gets for having them steal money. But if it's not, then that sucks.
Right. And I'm with you on that. I think a lot of people, it's hard to believe what news outlet, whether it's a sports outlet or whatever. It's hard to kind of grab a narrative from that, and we don't really know. Is Hollywood? Hollywood made the movie, and you look now with the strikes that are going on. I mean, it would make sense, but on the other hand, he just like you said, recently filed for bankruptcy, and he just released that book. So it's, who knows? There's got to be an investigation, I would assume. I don't know if it'll be, it's legal lawsuit probably, but I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But it's definitely interesting. So
my favorite part of all of this, reading the comment section and all of these goofballs, and I can't tell if they're like being sarcastic or if they mean it. They're like, I can't believe Sandra Bullock would do this. She needs to give back her Oscar. It's like,
I was just going to mention that because
actress. Somebody wrote a script. She acted this role.
Yeah.
She really didn't do any of this.
But Quentin Aaron, who played Michael Orr in the movie, he came out recently. I saw a TikTok on it, so it's probably on some other outlet. He didn't probably directly release it to TikTok, but he just said, you guys need to stop attacking Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw and all these other people, because he said, that's my mama, and you don't, they have nothing to do with this. They just, like you said, we're handed a script, and they don't have anything to do with the real story. It's just a movie.
It's the higher ups. It's the people that are.
It's like saying, I can't believe the machines took over. Keanu Reeves, I can't stand you anymore for letting that happen.
Right.
So let's go on here. We got some running back news this week. So we've had these running backs kind of sitting out there waiting. Nobody knew what was going to happen with them for a long time, and there's all this talk about not being paid enough. And well, we had some dominoes fall. So Ezekiel Elliott signs with the Patriots, which, first of all, I don't think I ever thought that would happen. Those two organizations seem night and day to me. Well, they both seem, I hate both of them. So maybe it's night and night or day and day. Anyway, I didn't think he would end up there. And then shortly after he signed, Dalvin Cook goes and signs with another team up in that northeast area of the country. What were you going to say, Brandon?
Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott agreed to his contract and then flew out to join the team? Green Bay. So his first official act as a Patriot was in Green Bay, which I love, by the way. And he ties into that city I'm going to take. And then, like you said, Dalvin Cook signed with the Jets. And then moments after he signed with the Jets, someone came off the physically unable to perform list, Breece Hall, who was probably, if he didn't get injured, going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. So they have a killer running back duo in New Jersey now.
And even New England. I mean, I still believe Ramondre Stevenson is going to be number one, but even then, I think it's becoming a norm where these free agent running backs, I believe Leonard Fournette's going to be next, where they're going to be signing teams, they're at that age or up in their age, where running backs are starting to fall out of their prime, year 5, 6, 7, where they're just looking to be, on a team and be, complimentary to another guy who can do it. So Breece Hall or Ramondre Stevenson, and then wherever Leonard Fournette goes, I believe he's probably going to be looking to a team that
Kareem Hunt's going to be the next big
Kareem Hunt. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And so if we continue this talk about being blindsided, I think Matthew and Josh talked about it last week, but Jonathan Taylor, I wasn't here for that discussion when you and Josh had it. I saw the clip online, but I mean, that was a blindside to all of us. We were not expecting Jonathan Taylor to come out and demand a trade. I think the Colts handle it well by saying we're not trading him. That's a very smart move on Jim Irsay's part, but they just kind of got to work it out.
Yeah,
this whole thing is just a mess, and I just don't understand. I don't understand Jonathan Taylor or his agent. Like, their thought process. I can't figure it out because he's like, we're not playing. We want a huge extension. By the way, I can't perform because my ankle hurts. My back was something. Oh, wait, no, my back's nothing. My ankle, that's all it is. But my ankle's, it hurts, but I want this big extension. I'm going to go away from the team for a while, and then I'm going to come back, but I'm still not going to, it's like everything he's doing would not make another team say, you know what, this guy's worth paying a huge extension to, because he had this ankle thing that happened in January that was supposed to be like 6 to 8 weeks, and it's still a problem. Yeah, we'll give him big money.
Yeah, nobody's going to do that.
Come on, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Just get it over with and get back.
Right. And going back to people being surprised, you were surprised about Ezekiel going to the Patriots here, but I was on a website earlier before the podcast on Musket Fire. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but apparently the former running back, James White, for the 51 Super Bowl winner, he said in a SiriusXM radio interview that he wasn't surprised that Ezekiel Elliott was going to go to the Patriots. Quote, this is what James White said: "I know Bill Belichick has talked about some of the best backs in the league. I know he's a big fan of Zeke. Whenever he would compete against the Cowboys, he would always talk about how much he wanted to have him on his roster." So, yeah, I did a little bit of pre-show research, so that's kind of what I got from that. But I think most average fans like me, I guess I was surprised, but more inside you go, there probably were a lot of people in the NFL that weren't surprised about it. So
yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see him there, see how much of that load he gets. Same with Dalvin Cook and the Jets. I think Dalvin Cook will get more of a load with Breece coming back.
Breece Hall. Yep.
Right. And the Jets. Well, okay. We'll take this stuff in order. The Colts this week named Anthony Richardson the week 1 starter. And it's funny to me that there's like all of this reaction on both sides. Particularly the people who are like, this is the biggest mistake ever. So there was I don't even know what news show it is. It's one I don't watch because I can't stand most of the personalities, but it's the one that has Bucky Brooks, Joy something,
No,
dude
Joy
who wears
Taylor.
purple, and then Shady. Does anybody know the show I'm talking about?
No, but I know what you're like. Know the people you're talking. I just
Anyway,
can't remember the show.
The dude in purple, and I should know who it is. I probably would just do like
Nate
2 seconds of
Burleson?
research. Is it
Burleson?
Nate? No.
He's the former NFL
No,
receiver.
it can't be Nate Burleson.
It can't be Nate. Nate's too cool to be that guy.
Speak with it's called Speak, I guess, with Emmanuel Acho.
Is that who it is? Yeah. that
It's,
guy.
well, I'm looking on Wikipedia and it says Joy Taylor with co-host of Speak with LaShawn McCoy and Emmanuel Acho. So
Yep. LaShawn McCoy and Bucky Brooks was on there. So Bucky and that dude that I don't really know too much about, they're like, oh, this is the biggest mistake ever. They're idiots. This will never work out. When has it ever worked out for a quarterback to come in and start playing from the first game? You've never seen it. Patrick Mahomes didn't do it. Jalen Hurts didn't do it. And then they said Josh Allen didn't do it. Josh Allen actually started in the middle of game 1. He didn't start game 1. But by, I think, the third quarter, the dude was injured and Josh Allen was then on. Anyway, the guy is
Peyton
like
Manning did.
he
Andrew
didn't even
Luck
bring up.
did.
He didn't bring up any of those. And then later, LaShawn McCoy said, well, I think you're forgetting a few. And then he went on to name them. I think Joe Burrow did, right?
Mhm.
Or did Joe Burrow?
yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow did.
And
Yeah.
Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. And there's been precedent. But anyway, I think this, truthfully, I was like a little surprised in the off-season stuff that they were splitting first-team reps, Anthony Richardson and
Gardner.
Gardner Minshew, because what Anthony needs is every rep he can get. And splitting those, I think from the beginning they knew they weren't starting Gardner Minshew. I don't think that was ever in the plan. You can go back to the very first when Shane Steichen was hired, and they talked about, okay, what makes a quarterback? He said, well, they need practice reps and they need game reps. And that's the only way he's going to get good. He said from the very beginning, game reps. And so I think they knew all along. And so I think better now to go ahead and say, Anthony Richardson, you're the starter, and we're going to give you all the reps. And yes, this may turn out to be a season like Peyton Manning's first season, where we win 3 games, lose 13, and he had 27 or 28 interceptions. None of us are thinking, oh, he's going to be like the one who takes us to the Super Bowl this year. But he has to get that experience. And the truth is, when I watched the preseason game that happened, and I know we're going to get into this in a minute, I felt a whole lot better about it than people who just looked at the stat line. And I think anybody who watched that game, actually watched what happened, also feel pretty dang good about what Anthony Richardson can do. Will he make mistakes? Absolutely. And that's part of his growth. But he's got to get in there to grow. So he's been named the week 1 starter. I, as a Colts fan, I'm all for it. And I can't believe that it took this long. And I think this is the best thing. And I don't care what purple suit dude says. It's the best thing. It's the right
Now,
thing.
I'm going to give you my opinion on this, Matthew. And
Okay.
I've given you my opinion before on the Anthony Richardson deal. And so, I hope he faces a lot of struggles in his first season starting, but I hope his reaction to those is positive and he learns and grows from that. And I think that's what we all want. But to disrespect my man Gardner like this,
Love Gardner. I was
trade him away, let him start somewhere else, send him to San Francisco. He'll start.
no, I think he's gonna be a really good resource for Anthony Richardson. And I was thinking about this just when they were doing the press conferences, because as Gardner Minshew was saying, hey, this is his franchise, and I'm obviously, you want to play, but I understand this is his, and I'm going to be there to help him. And I thinking to myself, man, when Gardner first came out, I don't think I ever would have imagined he would end up on the Colts. And he is. And I think he'll be good as a backup, or like a backup and another set of eyes and a teacher. I think he's got that in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew,
So-
have you been watching Hard Knocks?
I
Josh
have.
and I have not.
So here's
Yeah.
the deal. I told everybody I was going to wait till after the first week so I could buy just 1 month of HBO Max and get it all in there, because they conveniently do it 5 weeks, which is more than a month. So I was going to let that first one kind of get past. And then I find out that if you have Sunday Ticket through YouTube, which I do, you get 4 months of Max free, and you could start just a couple of days ago. And I started it right up, and I watched the first 2 episodes already. And so you guys have not watched it? Am I correct?
No,
in that?
not yet.
We have
my
not watched
goodness.
it yet. Don't
I
spoil
cannot
for us.
wait, Brandon, for you to watch it. That first episode, if you've never seen a love fest for Aaron Rodgers,
Oh yeah, that's what I've
watch
heard.
the first episode of Hard Knocks. My goodness, the love that it's just all about Rodgers and his amazingness, and New York loves this guy, and he's out there, and everybody on the team is like, oh man, Aaron Rodgers, he's awesome. He's the GOAT. Look at, man, he can do whatever. Look at him. He's so amazing. And it's like the love is thick. And I think even though he left your team, you're going to watch that and be like, I like Aaron Rodgers.
Whoa.
They really do make him very relatable. They take away that kind of the media stigma of this dude's like crazy, that's
Yeah,
gone.
I've come on the podcast and said I don't have any beef with Aaron.
I know, but you're gonna
we're
remember.
clean.
You're gonna remember strongly that love, and in the middle of the season, when your love for love may be strong or may be weak, depending on where he's at, you're still gonna be thinking, man, Aaron Rodgers was good. What if he was here? Maybe. Anyway,
I don't
Hard
need to
Knocks-
wonder. I've lived with him for a long time.
Hard Knocks has actually been, so the Colts were on mid-season Hard Knocks last year, right? 2 years ago.
This last year,
Yeah.
I think.
Which you hated
I hated.
and loved. It
Because-
was a love-hate thing. Yeah.
It was one of those where I was gonna be excited, but we were like so horrible. I feel like it was that year that we barely missed the playoffs we lost those last 2 games. Wasn't that the year?
I think it was with Carson Wentz. That's your starting
It was-
quarterback.
Yeah, it was not Matt Ryan. So it wasn't this last year. I was excited about that, but we were so horrible, and it was just like sad. And like when I watched the one with the Colts, it wasn't that exciting for me. Like I watched it, and it felt like, okay, this is the same format of everything they always do. It's just with the Colts. But this one with the Jets, I don't know that the format's completely different, but for some reason there is such an optimism around everything on that team. I mean, what's his name? The receiver, Wilson.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson,
He's
Sauce
good.
Gardner,
He's good.
their defensive guy that I'm losing all these names, but like around that team, when you look at it, everything looks really good. And then they just got Dalvin Cook, which he wasn't even on these episodes yet. So I can't wait to see what that does. But I'm excited for where the Jets can go this year.
The big thing about Aaron Rodgers and the love for that fan base is that's the largest thing that's happened in New York since pasta was invented.
Yeah. And I think it's surprisingly refreshing for Aaron Rodgers. He talks about how you just you kind of get in a rut when you've been in the same place for a long time and you're not really thinking about stuff, and like everything's new for him and exciting for him. And I think he feels that outpouring of love coming to him stronger than it. I know Green Bay loved him, but I don't think they were as vocal about it as New York is.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
That falls on you, Brandon, squarely on your shoulders.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see once he gets past the honeymoon phase.
So, speaking of another show, I was like out of work and whatever. I finished up Netflix, quarterback on Netflix and I told you guys in the group chat, but if you like, it's very interesting. At the end of it, you really like. I know Brandon's not gonna like hearing this, but you really have a loving more. You like Kirk Cousins more than you did if you didn't like him, and just what he does out of football. Him as a father and him as a person is great. If you like Patrick Mahomes or you don't like him, I think you're gonna hate him more after this.
Just and if you didn't have real strong feelings for Marcus Mariota, you still will have even less strong feelings for Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for him. But back to Mahomes, which is the main topic. Sometimes I got so annoyed with it where I wanted to just skip the parts with Mahomes or his family on there, because during that AFC Championship game where he rolled his ankle or whatever, there was he was he was mic'd up, as they call it, and he was on the sideline talking to Reed. And, a normal quarterback would say, dude, I can play. But Mahomes over here, confidently saying, but Mahomes is like, oh, I don't want to go out. I want to play. And he's complaining the whole time. And then his wife's in the stands, of course, Brittany Mahomes, crazy personality. Nobody really likes her. But she's like, I think he rolled his ankle. And he's like, he's not going to go out. He's playing. And he's all this cocky confidence and stuff. And you just really start getting annoyed with his wife, the point where you just want to sometimes skip these parts. And it's really,
I think my least favorite part about Patrick Mahomes is his family.
Yeah.
I think that's everybody.
Jackson too.
Yeah.
I mean, not only that, but his brother is the primary, thing I look at when I look at the Mahomes family is how ignorant, the actions of Jackson Mahomes have been. Social media. I mean, do we see it all the time, and doing those dances, and it really irritates me too. But I haven't watched quarterback yet. I probably should. I heard it was pretty good with Kirk Cousins. So
yeah, I think they have a couple people already confirmed for this upcoming season.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts, one of them.
I don't know.
Really?
I just know that Pat McAfee, he's probably right. It's a marketing scheme. He said that they're just going to release the guys who are not doing quarterback season 2 until they get down to quarterbacks that are. So then it's like, it's always skeptical. You leave it to the last minute. This guy's not going to be on here, but at least this guy's not going to be on. But we're not going to tell you who is going to be on, so you can be hyped for it. It's going to be like
all I've heard.
All
is
excitement
has
out.
refused.
Yeah.
So they're Daniel
Herbert
Jones
and
turned it
Garoppolo.
down earlier
Daniel
this week.
Jones.
Tua did also.
Lawrence did too.
Yeah.
I thought a couple weeks ago.
I was going to say, this is all I've been hearing is all the people turning it down.
Yeah.
So I hadn't heard anybody confirmed yet.
I Googled quarterback season 2, and it says, who is on season 2 of quarterback? And it comes out with Mike Florio. So there you go.
Yeah.
Mike Florio's going to be on.
Nobody's confirmed, but who are the 3 quarterbacks you guys would personally like to see on season 2?
I'd love to follow Joe Burrow. I just would.
Yeah.
I think you need to stick a rookie in there.
Yeah, a rookie and then an experienced vet that is on the outs is Kyler Murray.
Yeah, that would be kind
be
of
a
tough
good
to
option.
watch, though. I mean, just
Well,
going
it's the
through
same thing with
some-
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah,
And so tough stuff that you kind of
Yeah.
have to have a balance between all 3. And then
That's true.
and
I
then the
wouldn't.
rookie.
I'm trying to decide if I
Oh.
would want Anthony Richardson on there or not in his
Derek-
first
That's what
year.
I was
He's
gonna
probably
say.
gonna have
Derek
so much-
Carr would be another
Yeah.
good one.
That's a good one. If they're doing just like until next year, and they're doing just 2022, 2023 season, I think Derek Carr is a good one just because of how much he got neglected by the franchise towards the end. You know, he led them to the not promised land, but he was a good quarterback for them. Defense was never there, and how he just completely got neglected was terrible. Joe Burrow would probably, yeah, like you said, another good one, and then a rookie from last year at least. A lot of the rookies didn't start, honestly. I mean, our three rookies didn't.
Pickett.
Yeah, Pickett would be good. I mean, just depends on.
I don't think
I will say this. Well, you know what? I'm going to save this actually for when we talk about our games.
I don't think Mike Thompson would allow a filming crew in his stadium.
Yeah,
and like Mac
Ron
Jones would be
Rivera would
another
not
good
either.
candidate, but Bill Belichick will not let it.
Yeah, Ron Rivera would.
He-
If they chose asked how,
Yeah.
Ron Rivera wouldn't either.
Yeah, Bill Belichick is the guy that sends people to stadiums to record, not invites people in to record.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're looking on to season 4, season 3, season 4. If they go that far, you know, I don't know. I'm not sure how they made a lot of money on season 1, if they did or not.
Well, it was the #1 trending show for like 3 weeks, so I'd say they made.
Okay, they
a
probably did
lot.
make it. Okay, but I mean, obviously, being a Bears fan, I would like to see Justin Fields. You know, if he proves himself, if he
Right
proves
now,
himself,
the media loves him.
Oh yeah,
yes. Well, I mean,
They love him too much.
yeah, and that's what part of me as a Bears fan is. I want to be. I want to be optimistic about Justin Fields. I don't mean to get on Bears, you know, all of a sudden, but I want to be optimistic about him. But I want him to prove himself before he's on a show. You know, I want him to lead the Bears to playoffs. You know, I mean, that would be my dream for the season. But you know, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but maybe in the next 2 years. You know, we got to improve somehow. So before that, you know, no show for him, no quarterback show.
Let's take that and let's roll in to Bears preseason 1.
Yeah, that was nice to see. Josh pointed out on one of the screen passes that Justin
Who did
Fields
they play
threw.
first?
Tennessee
Titans.
There was
who we think are going to be horrible this year.
Yeah,
right, and we kind of saw that with the quarterbacks. Unfortunately, the Bears' defensive rush getting in there, forcing some fumbles.
Now they didn't play. What's his name? Tannehill, right? They just played.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think
Levis and Malik.
Yes,
right,
and I think maybe a third. I'm not sure. I don't think they played just those 2 quarterbacks. I think. But the way they rushed the quarterbacks, you know, and even like the middle linebackers, the cornerbacks, safeties, all forcing fumbles. I mean, that was good to see from the Bears defense, knowing that we still got some, you know, good guys that can, you know, force a fumble and get tackles. That was good to see. But I take everything like, you know, anyone should in preseason with a grain of salt.
So there was I sent it to I think you and Harley Cameron, but there was a stat on Twitter that said the Bear, it's preseason, so you got to take this stuff with a grain of salt, of course. But I think the Bears allowed the least amount of percentage-wise, the least amount of pressures to Justin Fields, and you always got to consider with preseason. You always got to consider did the Bears starting offensive line play the whole game or most of the game, and B, did the Titans start any of their starters on defense? So you always got to take this stuff with a grain of salt. You know, I mean, that stat's never going to might not lead into the regular season, but
correct. And you know, they're probably not going full out. They're not going 100%. You know, I mean, all that in context. So, but yeah, I was happy to see. And the reason why they did those screens, in my opinion, was to show, hey, you have people to work with. I don't think they were going for the long ball for a reason, other than maybe one other pass was a medium pass. But I don't think they were going for long ball. I think the coach really wanted to hammer into Justin Fields. Hey, you have somebody to rely on now. And with DJ Moore, you know, hopefully Chase Claypool can be better this year for us. And we have the rookie. I believe it's Scott, maybe Tyler Scott, I think. But Justin Fields, having trust in with DJ Moore, I think that's going to be key. Hopefully, we'll see some deeper passes Saturday against the Colts. So yeah, that's I'm kind of really mellow with it. I'm not, oh yeah, we're going to do this and that. I'm not like that. I'm right here in the middle. So
yeah. And Cameron, I'm glad you have a solid head on your shoulders as a Bears fan. I know it's not easy. I'll give an example. I grew up in Illinois. Okay. I'm a Packers fan. I was in Northern Illinois, kind of on the border of Wisconsin. So it kind of made sense. But I had friends a couple seasons ago when Fields first came into the preseason and had like 3 touchdowns and everything was looking great. We're like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to take us to the Super Bowl this year. And then he got actual in-game regular season reps against the Browns and was sacked 9 times and threw the ball for a net -1 yards. So it's hard to base the entire preseason on that's the trajectory, because if we did that, the Ravens would have won the Super Bowl the past 30 years. But I get what you're saying. It's you look for little fundamental things. It's not about the score. It's not about what they do, but having trust is the way to go.
And to see blocking too from Wright, Darnell Wright, I think for that in the preseason was very good to see. He's still blocking in preseason. He's not going full out, but to see him not only block one guy but 2 guys at once off to the right side. They think they did a pitch play and one of the plays, and that was good, really good to see too. You look for small things, like you said, and being optimistic as a Bears fans. But anyways, I mean, enough of the Bears. I mean, we know what the Bears have, so.
Well, let's go to their upcoming opponent, the Colts.
Yes.
They're actually having 2 joint practices this week. They already had one. Were they supposed to have another one tonight?
I think so.
I can't remember, but yeah.
They're supposed to have 2.
Yeah, they're supposed to have a couple. And so it'll be fun to watch those 2 teams because I am interested in seeing how Justin Fields looks as this preseason progresses. I'm also interested in obviously seeing how Anthony Richardson looks as this preseason progresses. For the first game, they played Buffalo Bills. And the nice thing was the Bills did bring out their starting defense for the whole time Anthony was playing anyway, and even into Gardner a little bit. Now, I don't know if they brought out their whole offensive line kind of thing, but it was good to see him. The thing everybody will talk about is he threw an interception pretty quickly. He had a couple, maybe a run and a little pass, and then like he took one and he threw it and it was intercepted. And Isaiah McKenzie, I think, was who he was throwing it to, who said, I ran the wrong route. That was on me. But at the same time, Anthony Richards has to get to the place where he knows, okay, don't throw that ball if it doesn't look how it's supposed to. He kind of sidearmed it. It sailed a little bit, went right to a guy. And they ended up bringing it down and scoring off that. But the nice thing is, I wanted to see how he would respond after he threw that interception. Does he get flustered? Does he fall apart? And he absolutely did not. He had control of that huddle. He went in there. He made good decisions. He actually threw some amazing looking passes that were dropped by Alec Pierce. 2 in particular. He had some to Grants and the tight end that also were dropped, and one that was like a nice start over the middle that he picked up. But like that 40-some yard throw down the field that would have been a touchdown had Alec Pierce, who had it in his arms and nobody hit it out. He just dropped it. If he would have caught that, it would have been a whole different narrative. But I watched what he did, even to the point where like he only had like one run, I think, where he took it and ran over a guy. And that was nice to see. We'll see more of that, I'm sure. I'm just seeing the fact that he was not like overwhelmed by the playbook. He wasn't out there like looking like he was caught in the headlights at all. And so I'm excited about where he's going. And that first preseason game, if you just look at the stat line, it looks like he didn't make that many yards because the big The big ones were dropped by receivers. So they've got to get that. Alec Pierce has got to get that taken care of. And, that's something that's still part of the Colts. It's not just the Anthony Richardson team, it's the Colts. And so they all have some stuff. Now, what was worrisome to me, the offensive line looked good when they were the starters. As soon as they subbed in like a couple people, man, it was bad. And Gardner Minshew was the one who reaped the whirlwind on that because he got sacked like the first 2 snaps he took because that's when they started subbing people in on the offensive line.
He also did make a similar play to Pat Mahomes, though. I saw on a highlight. He was running Gardner Minshew. He made like a one-legged throw for a touchdown, I think, while all the defensive rush was coming to him. And he ran off to the right side and threw a Pat Mahomes throw. It was kind of cool to see.
It's always funny when anybody else throws it. You hear a little bit about it, but when Patrick throws it, I don't care what it is. Everybody's like,
Jaguars guy. I think his last name's Rourke. I can't remember his first name, but he made the play where like the whole like Patrick Mahomes, of course, but made it look like it was Eli Manning in the Super Bowl. Everybody's grabbing on him. He evades a sack and he throws it. Well, he's about to get sacked. Throws a touchdown, and everybody's like, if this is Patrick Mahomes, that'd be a top play. But since it's not, nobody's going to notice it.
Yeah, it's the same thing that happened with OBJ when he did his one-handed catch. And then for the next 4 years, anytime somebody would reach up and catch a ball with one hand, they're like, oh, it's kind of like he's doing what OBJ does so great, And then they start talking about Odell Beckham Jr. It's like, okay, he's not the only one to reach up and catch a ball with one hand. He just did it that one time that caught everybody's imagination.
Yeah.
So, not the one time. He did it more, but.
Right.
But anyway, Colts, the first game was good. Got him out there a little bit. I expect the second game will be good. For me, it's just going to be going through this preseason. How does he get better? Does he get better each week? And then, we're going to get into the year. And then in the year, we don't know what the win percentage will look like, but I'm excited to have this hope, this excitement again after having all of these like old quarterbacks, which Phillip Rivers, by the way, I think Josh posted this thing, which quarterback in the last 7 years that started do you like the best? I liked Phillip Rivers the best. He did the best. He just had a great attitude. I liked Matt Ryan. He was okay. I was never a big fan of Carson Wentz, but
Scott Tolzien, is that maybe an option?
Jacoby Brissett, all of them are fine, but Phillip Rivers. But it's exciting to finally have somebody that you can have a hope for in the future.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I was going to hold something. I said something a moment ago. I'm like, I'm going to hold that for when I talk about the game, and I forgot what it was. So it must not have been that important. If it comes back to me, I'm going to jump back in with it. But that was the Colts this week against the Buffalo Bills. Good start. And, everybody was it's funny because all I could watch was the broadcast from Buffalo. So all they talked about was Buffalo players, and they hardly talked about the Colts, except for Anthony Richardson when he would get his first couple plays. But I've seen a lot of conversation since then on online media about Anthony Richardson, especially since he was named starter and all the debate about that. So, yeah, that's us. How about Commanders?
We played the Browns week 1, and I think it was the first score of the game. Well, the offensive line was bad, pretty much, except for our right guard, Sam Cosmi, who we moved to from right tackle to right guard because we signed a player at right tackle, which we thought would work out. But I think I'm going to be the first one to say it, that I think that Ron Rivera, either his time is coming to a close because of he's signing all these like low budget, they'll do, they're quote unquote they'll do type of guys, not the star right tackle, start whatever, guys that. Well, of course, this guy played with Eric Bieniemy in Kansas City, so there's some sort of connection there. But all these guys that are like low budget, low contract guys, instead of getting the players we actually need, it's starting to come bite him in the butt because Andrew Wiley and the rest of the offensive line, except Sam Cosmi at right guard, did not look good at all. I mean, the fourth score of the game was Zadarius Smith and I don't know the other guy, but both of them coming off the edges against their left tackle and right tackle and leading to Sam Howell having to throw it away, which led to a holding penalty in the end zone, which is a safety. And so it looks like Sam Howell and Brissett just got bullied the whole game. And I have complete faith in Sam Howell. He has an arm, we've seen in training camp. You saw even in the preseason game when he played. if he has time, he can make these plays, but he just needs that time. And I feel like a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of teams can say that, but you're just waiting for something to happen, and signing these low budget players that, either connections to the Panthers or connections to former or connections to current offense coordinators or whatever, they're not working out. And I'm just waiting for him to, the Commanders with a new owner to finally make a move. Whether it's drafting a top tackle in the draft next year or signing the top free agent and then in the offseason next season, whatever. I'm just waiting for that to happen with the new owner. Some guy that actually cares about his team. I mean, our owner, you'll never see Dan Snyder do this. You might not even see half the league's owner do these things, but except Packers fans because they're always there. But Josh Harris was not in a suite. He was in the rain in a coat on the sideline, not in the sidelines, but like on like the first row of seats, talking to fans and interacting with fans. You'll never see Dan Snyder doing that, and I bet you won't see half the league doing that. So we have promise at ownership going forward with us, but we just need to make these moves that work out. Cole Turner,
Josh, I gotta let you know, he called me and I told him to do that. So
okay,
that's
so
how he got his cred.
That was a Packers thing.
Yeah. He called me up and asked me how to relate with the fan base. I said be
I'm
with
new
the
to
fans.
this owner thing. Brandon, you've been doing it a while. How does this work?
Yeah, that's right. He called me up. He's done basketball, but that's not football.
And
Cameron, in case you didn't know, Brandon has a stake in the Green Bay Packers as one of the owners. Now, one of the, I don't know how many thousand, but he's an owner. Right there's the certificate behind him.
That's awesome.
So he knows this ownership thing and how that works.
That's right.
Good.
But like I said, Sam Howell, he looked great. Weapons are amazing. Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Dotson, and our running backs, and then Cole Turner, who is our tight end number 2 behind Logan Thomas. I think he's going to be playing a lot, not because Logan Thomas is going to get injured, which he probably will. He has an injury history, but because I think he's starting to become better than Logan Thomas. Not because, and some of it's because of age. Logan Thomas is a bit old, but height. I mean, this dude's like 6'7", so he can get those, high passes and the end zone corner fades, whatever, Jimmy Graham type stuff. And I feel like that's a big part of the offense coming up this season. Defense actually didn't look bad at all. I mean, besides Chase Young getting injured with a stinger, which I'm a little bit worried about. I know it's only a stinger, so it's nothing major, but this guy keeps getting injured, and I feel like kind of like Trey Lance, where, he's doing bad in training, not Chase Young doing bad in training camp, but, Trey Lance is injured. He's doing bad in training camp. His trade value is dropping quick, and if this guy keeps getting injured, Chase Young, his trade value is going to be dropping quick. I mean, we may not sign him next year, so he is a free agent next year, so I might just let him go, but the rest of the defensive line looked great, and coming up for a week 2 preseason game against the Ravens, just based off what I know it's only training camp, but based off what I saw in training camp, the defensive line continued to just break through on runs, on passes, get sacks, get losses of yards on runs and passes against the Ravens offensive line. The secondary kept working, except a couple of plays. I mean, the cornerbacks and safeties were right on in man-to-man against Odell and Zay Flowers and stuff. I mean, there was a couple fights that broke out if you didn't see, but that's going to happen at training camp. You know what I mean? So I'm actually very optimistic that I know the Ravens play hard. Like Brandon said, if this is preseason, they'd be the best team in the league for the last decade. I'm actually very optimistic, more than I am optimistic from, a regular season point of view, but optimistic that we can actually end their streak next week.
Exciting stuff.
And we will be the first people to text about that as well.
Let's
I
have
don't know about that.
love.
That was not before 1991.
Let's have our love for love, Brandon. What's the Packers
All right.
first game look like?
Buckle in for the next hour and a half. We got a lecture going on. Peyton Manning also called me on how to lecture, so I've given him some pointers. All right, so Packers, obviously, first game without Aaron Rodgers, post Rodgers era. We played the Cincinnati Bengals, which is a very respectable team. We did joint practices in Cincinnati. Like Matthew said, he had to watch the Bills broadcast. I had to watch the freaking Bengals broadcast. Yeah, no one's going to want to talk about the Packers if you're a Bengals fan. But a few good things out of there. Kind of like Cameron mentioned, we're looking for fundamental objectives of our team, which leads to success. So I'm going to start with the defense. Defense played fast and physical, and it did not matter who was out there. That was exciting for me because I have not really seen that in the Joe Barry era, except for the end of last season.
I was going to say, you were calling him scary at the beginning of last year.
You're calling him scary last year.
Yeah, now we are scary, at least according to this one preseason game. but the what I enjoyed seeing is everyone was going out to make plays and make a difference on the defense. And I'm okay if you make a mistake going for stuff like that. What I'm not okay with is when you go out there and you're just kind of moving around too scared that you're going to make a mistake. There's a pretty fine line there. Mm-hmm. And everyone that played was playing as if it was their last play of football they were going to make, which I loved. Now, if we carry that into the season, yeah, it's going to be a top 5 defense. And if we don't, it's not going to be. And Joe Barry is going to be gone. But there's my defensive update. I won't bore you with all of the individual details of each player I loved in terms of just keeping with time. Jordan Love overall looked fine. He had 2 drives. He was poised in the pocket. He went through his reads quickly and efficiently. He had one throw that was overthrown to Luke Musgrave, which would have been a first down. It caused us to end the series. But other than that, he looked good. He had a few different arm angles in there and different ball placement spots, which was best for the receivers. And so that's helpful for me. That's a very positive thing that I was expecting out of him. Receivers also looked fine. Tight ends looked fine. Running backs looked fine. The offensive line is my concern. David Bakhtiari is allegedly back. I don't know if he's going to get a lot of preseason snaps. I don't really see it.
Have you seen the trade rumors of him going to the Jets at all?
Yeah, it's not surprising. I mean, Aaron wants his guys in New York, and that's, David is one of his guys. Now, I have seen the banter back and forth with them on social media, which has been really funny. Someone did an interview with David, and they said, "What do you like better about Jordan Love than you did about Aaron Rodgers?" Not worded directly like that, but that's kind of what they were getting towards. And he said, "I like that Jordan can actually move around. Aaron is slow." So he took a stab at Aaron. It's the same reason we take stabs at Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was not known as a speedster.
Not at all.
That's okay. I think I mentioned in our chat this morning with Josh that I think a snail would beat Peyton Manning in the 40. But it's okay because Peyton Manning had other defining qualities that made him great. Mm-hmm. You don't need speed to make you great.
No, you don't.
And so that was funny. Aaron put up a picture of all of his favorite people in the world on Instagram. And so it was him and Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb. And he kind of had his hands behind his back on his dark pants. And in dark text, he put at David Bakhtiari and kind of tagged him in it just enough so you could barely see it. So if you weren't looking for it, it wasn't going to be there. Thank God for people on Twitter that they caught it for me. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was funny. But the offensive line is of concern for me at this moment because we don't know who's playing where. And I've mentioned this on the podcast a few times is Matt LaFleur likes offensive linemen that can play every position. Mm-hmm. And so it's an even bigger gamble on who is going to be playing what position, when are they going to be playing what position, and are you going to switch them around during game in season? My answer for that is yes, because Zach Tom is a perfect example. He's best at left guard, but he's also highly effective at center and highly effective at right tackle. And so if we have a need for a guy in one position, you just move Josh Myers over to left guard.
Yeah.
You throw Zach Tom over at right tackle and put Elton Jenkins in at center. And so it's a fun problem to have, but it's a stressful problem to have because are you putting this puzzle together correctly? I don't know.
Yeah. I was going to say that's a good point. And how consistent can that go? How long can that go throughout the season? Switching the O-line around like that, but if, like you said, if they can make it work and we can see some of that in preseason, that would be kind of cool for you guys.
Yeah, and we've done it ever since Matt LaFleur has gotten here, and it's depended on the defensive line we were playing that week. Right. And so we've always lined up our guys to be more matchup based, kind of like you would with some cornerbacks against receivers.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not going to put Rasul Douglas against Justin Jefferson again. We saw what happened there.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Sure as heck not going to see Preston Smith against Justin Jefferson again. That one infuriates me. You're going to put Jair Alexander against Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
And so
you're going
if
to look
you
at size and height and weight.
Yeah, if you're going to have Joey Bosa on the other side or Nick Bosa, you're going to put someone that can handle them, or
Right.
a pair of people that can handle them
Right.
on the other side. And so it works out well. The NFL's kind of shifting to it. We're starting to see it in other Shanahan offenses happen. Matt LaFleur was kind of the one that started it. But it's kind of cool. And the biggest sore spot I have from this past game is our freaking kicker. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, he missed like a field goal. Or, yeah,
he missed a
same
point
special-
after attempt. What
Yep.
on earth?
Same special teams
Colts,
as last year. Whenever you said they're going up a little bit, you know, they're climbing the ladder a little bit, they just drop right back down.
Colts had
Now
some
we
kicking
still have
trouble with
we
Matt
still have
Gay.
Keyshawn Nixon, and Keyshawn Nixon is going to be phenomenal. I have no doubt. But you have to be able, if you get a touchdown, you want 7 points. You don't want 6 points.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because if I score 4 touchdowns and miss 4 point after attempts,
Brett Maher.
and my opponent gets 4 touchdowns with those 4 point after attempts, I'm down 4 points. A field goal does not make up for that to win the game. And so you got to get these basic kicking things figured out. And I have been keeping track with his stats during training camp. He's 5 for 5 today. Yesterday, he was 1 for 4. And so every day is inconsistent, and we need him to be consistent. And we're not bringing anyone in to compete with him. So it's something I got to talk with Goody about. Get someone in there that's going to say, okay, we're going to compete. And best kicker at the end of training camp is the one that's on our roster.
Okay, so the Packers had a game. I think we've all kind of previewed, or at least Cameron and I have previewed a little
I did
bit
too.
because
A
Colts
little
are
bit.
playing the Bears. Who did
I
the
didn't do
Packers
that.
play?
All right. Packers currently are in sunny Green Bay, Wisconsin, with the Patriots in town. And I kind of previewed that with Zeke. That's where he signed his contract. He went to Green Bay and finalized all of his deals in Green Bay, and he's now officially a Patriot. And so we'll see a bit of Zeke this week, probably in the joint practices. I'm not sure if we'll play in the game. But we've had one joint practice already. We have another one this afternoon, and we're gonna operate at probably a pretty high level during the game. I'd assume to see more offensive line mashups, a few different offensive schemes. See if we can get a few different arm angles from Jordan Love, and a few different routes from the receivers, and then a strong defensive showing. And if our kicker does not make every kick in this next game, I think it's time to bring someone else in after this week.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of what happened this last week. What's coming? These are just preseason games, but you begin to get to see who can step into places they need to and who's progressing. That's what preseason's all about. By the way, Ashton Doolin today for the Colts tore his ACL and is out, which was sad because he was one of our few that had played in a lot of games. So we're going to be watching those wide receivers as we move forward as well. But let's go ahead and jump into our divisional breakdown of the playoffs. So we've taken some time here. And whoa, what just happened?
No,
there?
I added to stream as you're saying it. It just brought up. So maybe the layout's wrong or something. Maybe.
Try it again.
Yeah, there you go.
There we
I
go.
think we're good. So we've done our regular season. We've gone through. Some of those may not end up being the best picks, especially as rosters have changed. Like we didn't have DeAndre Hopkins on when we did any of the Titan stuff, but we're going to
We
stick
didn't
with
have
those.
Yeah, we didn't have
And
Dalvin
we've
Cook.
gotten to
and-
this
yeah.
place where we're at the playoffs. So we're going today talk about the playoff games and the Super Bowl. So we're talking about the postseason predictions. This is in the second week of preseason. So this is way too early. But you know what? If you don't do it way too early, you're not
You're never
gambling
gonna.
enough.
Yeah.
And
You're
also
right.
place your bets now. You'll get the highest return.
We may come back mid-year and see if we want to revise these at all. And then we'll probably just before playoffs do a real one because these teams may not even be there. We'll see. But let's go ahead. Josh, why don't you go ahead and run us through what we're picking, and then we're all going to kind of weigh in and pick here and go from there.
So to start off, Yeah, we have the Jets, who we predicted before Dalvin Cook signed, but I don't think that changes because they've still have Brees Hall. But we have the Jets and Aaron Rodgers visiting Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars to start off.
This is an outdoor stadium.
Yes, and
Jaguars win.
Jacksonville.
Jaguars
Yeah,
win.
too. I think the
I'm
Jaguars win
actually,
as
after
well.
watching Hard Knocks, I think I'm going to lean over to the Jets on this one. They've got some strong playmakers, and Aaron does not look old right now. Now, will he by the time they get to playoffs? Maybe, but I think I'm going to go with the Jets on this one. I think Trevor Lawrence has had a little bit of success. I don't think it's going to just continue to skyrocket for him. First of all, I think the AFC is going to get a little more challenge for him than it was last year with Matt Ryan and Davis Mills on those two bad teams. Not that they're going to win all those games, but I don't necessarily think he's going to win so much and be so great. So I'm going with the Jets on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with. I think I'm going to go with the Jets as well. I probably with Aaron Rodgers and Dalvin Cook. I think that's not going to change anything, but I'm going to go with the Jets. The same with you.
All right. So it's 2-2 right now. Matthew, Cameron, Jets, me and Brandon, Jaguars. So if we have 2 viewers right now, so if any of you guys want to chime in, I'll give
Just leave
10
a
seconds.
comment.
Just leave a
Yeah.
comment. We'll pin it on the screen, and like the first comment that comes up is the winner, Jets or Jaguars. If not, I will
If
go
not-
to the coin flip.
Yeah, get the coin flip queued up. We'll see.
I'm going to, while we're waiting for that, I'm going to just say, you look at the receivers that the Jets have. You look at the running backs that they have. You look at the defensive. You look at the coach that they like. I'm liking what the Jets are selling right now.
Yeah,
and
I'm
the
going
fact
to
that
add
you
another
added-
thing in there.
Yeah,
Let me add in there. Look at Aaron's performance in humid climates. Almost guaranteed losses.
That's
we got
true.
a Jets here
Slipping
from
of the
Nate.
ball.
Yeah, Nate, our buddy
Arnold.
Nate, Cameron and I's buddy Nate, says the Jets. So that's what we're gonna have to go.
All right.
with.
Jets win it. By the way, if you watch Hard Knocks, a mentalist came on who did some like crazy stuff, like mind reader, not card tricks, and he did some amazing stuff. One of the things he did was they predicted that the Jets would win over the 49ers 31 to something in the Super Bowl. So a mentalist has already said the Jets are winning the Super Bowl. I don't know if that'll happen, but
All right,
Matthew,
next.
are you much of a psychic person?
I'm not psychic at all. I can't even get my predictions right for next week.
All right.
Next
Let's look at
game
this next
is Miami visits Buffalo. So hot weather team visits a cold weather team, especially during the playoffs. It's probably going to be snowing,
Buffalo.
freezing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Buffalo.
I'm
I think
going to go with
Buffalo, yeah.
Buffalo.
I think we're straight up on that one.
Yep. Chargers visit the Chiefs, a divisional game. Chiefs have the number 2 seed. Chargers have the number 7 seed.
I would
Chargers.
love for
I
the
would
Chargers
think I
to
know what
win
you're saying.
this.
Yep, me
Yeah.
But
too.
I'm just going to be realistic.
Yep.
I think the Chiefs will win it.
Yeah.
me
I
too.
really
Yep.
don't like the Chiefs, but
I just
Wait, hold
want.
on. All of their matchups with Mahomes and Herbert under center are 1-score games. So I wouldn't write this off too fast. And they've
But when
gone
have the
back
Chargers-
and forth.
Chargers ever done good in the playoffs, Brandon? I mean, you got to look at that. You got to look at that as well.
in all those
Yeah.
one-score games, has it ever gone the Chargers' way?
It
And
has.
it's Chiefs home.
Okay.
I mean, Chiefs home. That's
Chiefs, yeah,
brutal.
Chiefs are the hardest place to play.
That's brutal.
Sound wise, or
Yeah.
stadium wise. NFC wise, we're moving on. Seahawks at Lions.
Lions.
Yeah, I'm going to go
All
with Lions.
right, I think Brandon, Matthew, and Cameron. I don't know if you know this, but Brandon, Matthew, and me. Get your phones ready because we're gonna be the first people to text in the world that the Lions win a playoff game.
I'm just going to throw this out there. All these times we talk on this podcast about being the first ever to text, that is totally Josh and Brandon. I am just
Yeah,
not
Matthew
caught up
joined
on
one time.
texting stuff. And so they have done that, and I've always lagged far, far behind.
Yeah,
but I'm
right.
part of this group, so I get to kind of say I'm part of history when that happens.
Yeah,
right?
so yeah. So
I will say
Cameron,
this: I want the
Go.
Lions to win, and I think the Lions are going to be good this year. But those Seahawks are going to be better than everybody. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody's expecting they won't be, but man, they've got some receivers.
and they
there.
finally
And
have
They do.
a great
I
secondary.
think
Yeah, but
Gino is getting
Yes.
trending up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it may be other parts of their team that keep them from going. But I want to go the Lions also.
Coach of the year too.
We'll get that. Save that prediction for a little
I
bit.
know.
We'll get
I
that.
will.
But so Cameron, if you don't know, last year was it, Brandon? No, 2 years ago when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. So the first text came out. Yeah, first when they ever sent a text was like December of '91, and the Bengals at that time they'd have not won a playoff game since like 1990 or something. So this is like a known thing, and I don't know if it's as known for the Lions, but definitely a known thing for because it was on Twitter trending for the Bengals. There was not a text ever sent for the Bengals winning a playoff game because they didn't win post 1991. So throughout their playoff run in the Super Bowl, we were first person to text they won a wild card, first person to text they won a road playoff game, and then first person to text they won a championship game. All three different instances, and the Lions have not won a playoff game since like January '91, and the text was first sent in December '91. So there's like a 11th month separation.
Yeah.
So we're also banking on that we, become the first people to do that as well.
That would be cool.
Moving on, Packers visiting Philadelphia.
Sorry, Brandon.
Everybody gets real quiet and looks at Brandon because we all know what we're thinking.
Yeah, we do.
Y'all already know my thoughts.
You're all for the Eagles. We know that, but
We're going with Green Eagles.
The Green Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to still be stronger than the Packers this year.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, they lost some pieces, but they just got a lot more back in the draft. 7 seed Cowboys against 2 seed Saints.
I like the Cowboys.
Cowboys. I was going
This
to go
is
with
actually the
Cowboys as
hardest
well.
one for
Me
me to
too.
decide.
I was going to say because the Saints have a defense, and if Derek Carr gets rolling for the Saints, they have an offense. But Cowboys, we already know have the defense. Dak.
Who did
if
the Saints
Dak
play in
gets
the first
rolling-
preseason game?
Oh no.
All I remember, I can't remember who it was, but I remember
Oh,
that
the Chiefs.
The Chiefs, yeah, and they beat them strong. I mean,
They won by a game-winning field goal.
they looked good. The Saints.
Yeah, I think Derek Carr played the whole game or most of
preseason.
it, right?
Preseason.
I know it's preseason. I know.
Let me see. I think Derek Carr played at least half the game. I'm not sure on that. But let me think. Let me look.
I know, so
he
Patrick
didn't.
Mahomes
I guess he was
didn't.
playing a little bit much longer than I thought he would, though. But he looked, their quarterback overall looked nice, like all three of them.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Tony Pollard. I don't know, all what really good not really good, but decent wide receivers, and Dak Prescott. He hasn't been amazing, like crazy amazing, but I mean, I think he's
But when he's rolling, he's great.
Yes.
I think I'm going to go with Matthew on this one. I just think the Saints have an upper edge against Cowboys. Cowboys always lose in the playoffs, and if they make it to divisional round, they create some sort of stupid blunder where they put Ezekiel Elliott center, or they have Dak Prescott running, with no timeout, 10 seconds left, whatever. If they may win this game, they don't make it past the divisional round, but I think they end it here. I think the Cowboys lose.
All right.
All right.
So
Well, I
Saints
think
on
we're
that one.
2-2.
Oh, yeah.
So
We have no
Alright.
viewers, so
No viewers
and
now,
funny thing
so-
is we have one, and I think our Saints fan Nate is either he's back or not. But if whoever our viewer is, we're at a differential 2-2 right now, Saints Cowboys. So if you put your opinion in, we can. If it's Nate, I know what's going to happen. But if it's not, then
Yeah, get the coin queued up. Heads
Got
for
it.
Saints.
oh,
Up Saints.
Who-
Nate-
There it is.
Nate.
that.
All right. Divisional.
Divisional round.
Ooh.
Of course, it would be Buffalo against the Chiefs.
Kansas City.
listen, they have. I don't know how many times they played in the playoffs. I believe it was a championship and then the divisional, where that divisional was like back and forth within 19 seconds. This is a game the Bills come out strong, and they finally get their revenge for those last two games. I think the Bills take this one.
I don't. I think Kansas City still wins. They still have their number.
I think the Bills are going to take this one. I think
don't make me
injuries.
decide.
Injuries.
Matt, you
are
don't have to
going-
decide if you pick the Chiefs because we got a viewer for that or a coin flip for that.
I know, but oh man, I kind of wanted to throw mine out before everybody got their vote in, so that I wasn't even either tying it or deciding it. This one's a tough one for me because Kansas City is just so hard to bet against, because I do it regularly, and they always win and drive me nuts. I really want Buffalo to win. I'm going to go with my desire over my logic.
There you
I'm
go.
going to say Buffalo.
Upset of the playoffs right there.
Upset.
Jets over Bengals. I mean, Bengals are 1 seed. I know they have a lot. Both of them have experience, but the Jets have more experience. I just think that with the bye for the Bengals, I think they have more prepared for the Jets. You know, they have a lot more practice, and they have a similar offense. You know, I feel like the Bengals have a lot more weapons on offense to utilize, and I think the defense for the Bengals is going to be the bigger question because the Jets easily have a better defense, but I don't know. Is this a time? I don't know. Does Aaron Rodgers carry his choking of the championship divisional stuff into the Jets territory, or does he leave it behind? And
Well, here's what we're not going to see. Almost all of Aaron's losses, quote unquote, is if you want to throw that quarterback win-loss ratio,
which we don't,
as a quarterback stat, which we don't believe.
Mhm.
I mean, Aaron's had to score an average of 45 points to succeed in playoff games. So do you think the Bengals are going to put up 5+ scores against the Jets defense? Because I think Aaron in that offense can put up at least 4 touchdowns against the Bengals defense.
Well, they only need 4 touchdowns and a field goal to win, but I just think the Bengals are, they have a more ready team, playoff wise, where a lot of these, besides Rodgers and a couple of Packers, a lot of these Jets players haven't really experienced a playoff game in either ever or in a long time. Depends on where they came from before.
I also want to throw out there, I think Sauce Gardner is good enough to have Jamar Chase's number. I think they're going to cancel each other out.
T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, you know what I mean? It's like you cancel each other out, but then you have two other guys who you don't know who they're going to match up against.
Yeah, but the Jets have a great defense. That's the spot about it. And Robert Saleh, their coach, one of the greatest defensive minds we have in the NFL right now. He's going to have a way to cover up the Bengals offense.
I'm going to start this since everybody's like throwing out stuff. I think the Bengals don't perform as well as they have the last couple of years. I think the Jets in this particular matchup win.
Yeah. And I think that the Jets, the hype that they're going to go into, obviously in this scenario, the hype surrounding Aaron Rodgers and especially the defense, I think the hype is going to be, the pressure is going to be on the Bengals, and it's going to be worse than last year and the year before. I think it's going to be a pressure that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase being locked down with Sauce Gardner, like you were saying, Brandon. I think the Jets are going to take this one as well.
So you know my answer is the Bengals, Brandon. I think you said the Jets, right?
Yeah, I think I'm more on the Jets side. So that's
All right.
3.
We love the Bengals.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
And high on them.
And Joe Burrow and everything.
Yep. I think, though, this year, I think the Jets beat them.
All right. Let's look at the NFC. Oh,
Eagles and Saints, 3-2.
Ooh.
I just think the Eagles are too they didn't lose any key players, and if they did, they gained them all back in the draft or free agency. I think they're even better than they were last year. I mean, even though our record may not show what we predicted, but overall, I think they're a better team than they were last year, and they have a lot of depth on their defense and their wide receiver core. And I don't know if that Saints defense, which is still a top 10 defense, top 15, if not, can handle that much firepower on offense. I think the Eagles go back to the championship.
Eagles win.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Lions and 49ers, are we questioning whether
I'm going to start
who
this
the
one.
quarterback is?
Yeah. No, I don't care who's at quarterback. They're going to do great as long as it's an actual quarterback, not a tight end or a middle linebacker. I think this is where the Lions get stopped.
Yes.
I'm going with San Francisco on this one. As much as we love the Lions right now,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, San Francisco, we just talked about it with the Eagles. Like, their team also improved. And the only reason they lost last year is because they literally lost every quarterback
in
the championship round.
even then, if they won, did you guys see that Phillip Rivers would have been their quarterback for
Their
the Super Bowl?
quarterback. Yeah, I did see that. And he would have done great because that's how Kyle Shanahan.
That's all you got to do. Yeah, you got to throw 10-yard dump offs in their offense and
Yeah, and so I
think
got
I'll
San
agree.
Francisco on this one.
I agree. San Francisco, the Lions' road ends here, but the Lions are going to be a promising team, I think.
Agreed. Going to go ahead and
Jets,
start. And I know
coin
this
flip both of
sounds like recency effect, right? I've watched Hard Knocks. That's not it. I think Josh Allen doesn't make it again.
Oh, really?
I think the Jets beat Buffalo. And that's hard for me to say because I love Buffalo more. I love Buffalo more. I want Buffalo more. I think it's Jets.
See, the tough one on this one that no one wants to admit is the Buffalo Bills right now are just what the Packers have been all along with Aaron Rodgers. They get to the playoffs and then they underperform. But they're great all the way leading up, and everyone's so hyped for them.
This
is another one of those situations,
right?
That was Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
Well, he got to the
regular
playoffs
season.
always, yeah.
Right. And then he would always not make it.
Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got the Jets on this one.
I'm
taking the Bills. I think they get Von Miller back for he was injured midseason. They get him back. They added a couple players. You still got the connection with Diggs and Josh Allen. I just think they got better overall. I mean, the rookies are going to perform, and they're at home. Of course, they both play in New York, so the weather's not going to be a factor. But I think Josh Allen finally gets over the hump, and I think they make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Jets here. I'm just Aaron Rodgers and defense as well. I think the defense are going to carry them, especially with this win right here. So
prove us wrong, Josh Allen. Go out there and do it. We would love it, but we are picking the Jets.
Yes.
Yeah. So Eagles, 49ers with a quarterback.
So this is just a repeat of last year's NFC Championship game. I got the Niners on this one. They should have won last year. And the NFL has literally changed the ruling on how many quarterbacks you can have for the 49ers.
Yeah.
So now they're able to operate in a manner that would have allowed them to win last season. Both teams, I think, increased equally in goodness. But I got the Niners. Matthew's got the Niners.
I got the Niners.
Josh has them. All right. Well, guys, Matthew, I guess this psychic person was right.
I was just going to say, I don't know how this happened. This is what they were predicting. Now, this might be where I differ. So, okay. The mentalist and, of course, everybody on Hard Knocks predicted that the Jets would beat the 49ers 31 to something. I can't even remember what. If that actually happens, we're all going to be like, whoa. But
if that happens, I'm throwing in extra money for charity like I do every season.
All right.
All right. But let's paint the picture here before we dig into it. Kyle Shanahan and the best defensive coordinator he's ever had, Robert Saleh, on the other side as their head coach.
Yeah.
We gotta make sure we understand that. Kyle has always run their offense at a super high level against Robert Saleh.
Let's also paint this part of the picture. Peyton Manning was a Colt, and he won a Super Bowl, and everybody said he should have won multiple, and he didn't. And then he went to another place, the Broncos, and he won that Super Bowl and cemented himself as one of the best ever. Tom Brady won many Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, and then he went to Tampa Bay, and everybody said, oh, who was better, Belichick or Brady? Brady went on to show that he had some part in that and won a second Super Bowl. They're the only two that's ever done that, right? Yeah. Won a Super Bowl with two different teams.
Yeah. I think
if there was ever a time of destiny that Aaron Rodgers could have, I think this is the year. I'm just saying this is part of the narrative. Will this happen? I'm not saying it will, but this is part of that narrative where the things are aligning in New York right now. At least it looks like that Aaron Rodgers could follow and be that third person who everybody said, oh, he's just a great regular season quarterback and he can't do the playoffs. He chokes. Just like they said about Peyton Manning, this could be that second win that lets him ride off into the sunset. Maybe,
Hey, Matthew, what does my prayer subscription have to be to make sure that happens? How much do I need to?
I don't know that I deal in prayer subscriptions or indulgences. You're just going to have to do this one on your own.
All right. So we haven't. Nobody's predicted anything yet, but this is our last game. We predict, until we get back to the playoffs, whenever every team is locked in before the wild card. So before we predict, I want you to, Matthew kind of did, but Matt, explain why you think the team wins. Give your Super Bowl MVP and your final score prediction.
I'm going to be honest here. I'm going to be honest in that I think San Francisco is going to be the tougher team. But I'm going pure storyline on this one. I think they have a great team, and it could get better as the year goes on, or they could fall apart, and this looks utterly ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but I'm going to go Jets win over San Francisco. Aaron obviously is the MVP because who cares who plays best? He's going to be one that New York is like, this got us over the hump.
So another question, another thing to add before you give your score.
Okay.
If you predict the Jets win, do you think Aaron Rodgers retires after this?
Yes.
So I'm going to go, with a quick
Not my
yes,
question. Not my question.
which is sad for New York because, they gave up hoping he would have multiple years. Now, Zach Wilson, he's really trying to put his time in and learn here while he's got Aaron Rodgers. And this could be like, the thing that brings him back into the league and gives him a second chance. But yeah, I think Aaron retires. And I'm not good at score predictions.
Just give us something.
I'm not even, if I had to just throw something out, I would not say it's going to be like 31 to a single digit like I think the Mentalist did. I think it's going to be closer than that. Let's just say 31 to 27. Is that even a score that can happen?
Yes.
Yes.
2 field goals, 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and 4 touchdowns and a field goal. All right, Brandon.
Again, I want everybody to know I fully expect the 49ers going to win. So this is like ridiculous of me to be predicting, but I am predicting that the Jets.
Oh, this is it's going to be a great Super Bowl. Everyone's going to talk about it for a long time.
Oh, yes.
But I'm going to say San Francisco. They win 28-23.
And
MVP CMC.
All right. I'm going to agree with Brandon. So, Cameron, once I'm done, the eyes are all on you, or I guess Nate, if you choose the Jets, or the coin. But I believe the 49ers win. Aaron Rodgers has always had a problem against the 49ers. That team has not changed, barely changed at least, since, the defense is still there.
Isn't it great that this is who he gets?
I also would not say always. I would say
not
95% of the time.
95%
95.
Has always had a problem against Kyle Shanahan, that defense, that defensive core, the main guys, Warner, Bosa, Eric Armstead in the playoffs. Those are guys that are still there from the 2019 championship game. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. You still got that offensive juggernaut in CMC and Debo and Ayuk and Kittle, and then Trent Williams at left tackle, and even throw Kyle Juszczyk in there at fullback. But doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I think the 49ers win 24-13. I think it's a defensive game. Yeah. Both teams have a great defense.
Defensive stuff.
Yeah, defensive game. And I just think the 49ers have more of an offense, more of an experience, in these type of games than, Aaron Rodgers against the 49ers in the playoffs. But MVP, Deebo Samuel.
All right. I think I'm going to go. A lot of the points you brought up, Josh, the 49ers are a tough team. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a lot of experience dealing with Super Bowls, and I don't know. I'm going to go with the 49ers here.
49ers.
MVP, I think Brandon Ayuk, and
what's the score?
I think the score is going to be 23-17.
All right, so pretty much within a close game range for us all.
I need to point this out just for the sake of consistency. Where y'all are talking about Aaron's bad record, we can also talk about Kyle Shanahan's record in the Super Bowl, which is 0. So he's been there and never gotten the job done. So, sake of consistency, you also have to put that in there.
Okay. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I'm no hate on Aaron Rodgers at all. Like, no hate, But I mean, where are they playing? Is it Las Vegas? Is that where the Super Bowl is?
Is it? Let me look.
I think it's Las Vegas.
Super Bowl 2024. I don't even know the number anymore. Okay. Yeah. No. Allegiant Stadium is Nevada. Yeah, Nevada.
Okay.
But yeah.
So it's going to be probably a dry or probably not like 90 degrees because it'll be in February, but it'll be nice. So weather isn't a huge factor, I don't think, unless it's raining.
It's in a dome anyway. So
I know, but I'm just saying. Oh yeah, it is in a dome. Every Super Bowl's in a dome. I'm a dummy.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking there, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, I guess not every Super Bowl's in a dome. They do it in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. It's dome or hot weather, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
why
there we
Green
go.
Bay will never host one.
So the football fandemic, with the one exclusion of Matthew Thomas, has said the 49ers will win the Super Bowl this year. And it's not happened in a long, long time for them. Never in the Shanahan, even though he's been there several times, era. So exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. All right. So we are at 121, and we have these yearly award
You just want to do that
predictions.
next week?
Yeah. Why don't we push that one back a little bit?
All right. Let's do it next week, and then we can do our grid real quick.
All right. Josh has got his immaculate grid to work through here. And we'll see how many we know. All right. Looks like we've got the Vikings. Oh, got to get it added to the... Here, we'll add it to the stream. Okay, we got the Vikings, Houston. We got Seattle, Philadelphia, LA, and then Rookie of the Year are all of our various cells. So let's start with the top left corner. Josh.
Case Keenum.
I was thinking Case Keenum. I was thinking Joe Webb.
This is Vikings, Houston.
What do you want to go with?
Teams.
Based off of lower percentage, Case Keenum or Joe Webb?
Joe Webb is probably lower.
Boom. Eagles and Texans. That's actually kind of you know what? Brandon Brooks was a right guard, I believe, for the team, for both teams. I know for the Eagles, I don't know if
there's also Brian Brahman. I think he'll be pretty low.
Was he on both teams?
I think so.
No. I'll just turn it to unlimited so we can figure it out.
Oh.
Brandon Brooks is our next guy. 4%. Nice.
Okay.
Texans
LA.
easy is Brandon Cooks, but if we can think of anybody lower, that would be great. I mean, Case Keenum again. Case Keenum play for the Rams?
I'm
not sure.
Tony
Tony
Banks.
Banks is
good.
right. I know he played for the Bolts. Yeah, he was drafted by the Rams and back up for the Texans. 6.64%.
Nice.
All
right,
Cameron,
go
you guys
Vikings,
any for
Seahawks.
Viking Seahawks?
I'm kind of doing my own little research. I'm not really familiar with any of the rookies, but
No, we're just talking about players and any player play for the Seahawks or the Vikings.
Probably for the Seahawks. And what is this again? This is
The Vikings or
Seahawks and
He's-
Vikings played on both teams.
Seahawks and Vikings. Okay. It's defensive, right? Or does it matter?
and it doesn't matter.
Okay. All
Offense,
right.
defense,
Well,
special
I'll go with
teams.
a well-known name. Okay, Geno Smith for the Seahawks.
Did he play on the
didn't play for the
though?
Vikings. He definitely played for the Seahawks, though.
No, well, I'm not sure, man. I'm at a loss. My football knowledge doesn't go this deep.
I'm with you. This is always like Brandon and Josh's little thing because I'm sitting there
Yeah.
like, I don't know. But let's see, Brandon and Josh, what do you got here?
I was thinking
Pete
Adrian
Carroll.
Peterson. Pete Carroll?
He coached for both teams.
I don't know, but
Does
I don't know
that
if.
count?
Let me. I don't know. Yeah,
Can we do
mentioned-
coaches?
No.
Ah,
I was thinking Adrian Peterson. I was thinking Sidney Rice, Percy Harvin. One of those three. It's just
Did Adrian Peterson?
yeah.
play
I
for
think it's more recent though, so I don't know how much. What's the percentage would be? So I want to go with Sidney Rice or Percy Harvin. Actually, I will go Sidney Rice because Percy Harvin will fit the next category over. I don't know how you spell Sidney. There you go. Never mind. 1 minute. How do you spell Sidney Rice? I'll just go Adrian Peterson. For some reason, it's not coming up. 24%, I guess, is all right. Seahawks, Eagles.
Jamar Adams.
Oh, Jamar. Yeah. Jamar?
Jamar.
I think I said Jamal Adams. All right. 10% or 0.10%. Eagles, Seahawks.
Is there a like offensive guy on the line that is? I don't know. I played Madden quite a bit.
Well, there's a pretty obvious one, a linebacker of sorts.
Bobby Wagner, yeah.
Wagner,
I was thinking him too. Sidney Rice, no, he doesn't. Sorry, that's Vikings. Seahawks, I guess Bobby Wagner might. I haven't gotten to these teams to make sure,
Did Jared Everett play for both teams?
Gerald Everett. I think he just played for the Vikings or the Rams and the Chargers.
Let's go with Bobby Wagner. We know L.A., Seattle. We know Bobby Wagner did that.
I think you could also do Maurice Alexander.
Alexander. Let's just go.
He played
Wagner
in the secondary.
To be safe. 87. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
I would save Percy Harvin for this one because of Percy Harvin, but you guys can decide which you think would be bigger. Sam Bradford for Rookie of the Year Rams or Sam Bradford Rookie of the Year for Vikings?
Wait, Sam Bradford couldn't have been Rookie of the Year for Vikings, right? Or is it just was Rookie of the Year?
You just have to play and played for the team.
Oh, I would put Sam Bradford with the team he was drafted to, if I'm going to do that.
All right, so only 2 players that could have been this is Sam Bradford and Todd Gurley, I believe. So 9% isn't bad. And then Percy Harvin, I guess, is the only other guy because what's his name? Sam Bradford took it. So yeah. Oh wow, 14%. I guess not.
Eagles Rookie of the Year.
Only person I can think of is Javon Curse for the Titans and then the Eagles. He won it in 99. Actually, won it in 99. That might be it. Did Michael Vick win it?
I don't think so.
I guess we'll just go with Javon Curse and finish it off.
Boom. The square has been
It's
filled.
done. It wasn't done last week. It's done this week.
It's done this week. Last week we gave you guys a chance. This week, nothing doing. But it's not because of me or Cameron. We didn't know what was going on. That was the other 2 guys. But at least we got it. Hey, we're glad you guys could join us this week on the Fandemic. Next week, we're going to be talking about those yearly award predictions and whatever news is happening and training camp, getting ready for a great regular season. Join us again